The folding tables in the church basement wobble like opinions. Someone taped a hand-lettered sign that says, Class of 2005. Reunion planning on the cinderblock wall, but the paint curls at the corner, and the arrow points to a mop closet. It smells like coffee that's worked too hard and detergent that didn't. Casey, Aunt Lila says, tapping the seat at the end of the table like she's giving me the head of state and not the head of chores. You're good with numbers. Treasurer, which is her code for, hold the bag while we shop. I opened my laptop anyway because I was going to track this whether anyone asked me or not. I have a spreadsheet template that has calmed more storms than weather ever did. Income, expenses, reimbursements, each with its own tab, color-coded like stoplights. I type, budget, Mitchell-Balin reunion, and the words make the air feel less slippery. We have a shoebox from the last reunion, a wad of cash wrapped in a rubber band, and a pile of IOUS written in pencil on napkins. Tony, my cousin, slaps it down like a poker player. Seed money, she says, and then grins. Don't worry. This one's going to be classy. Classy, Roland repeats, rolling it around like gum. He's Lila's son, and he wears his sunglasses on his head, even in a basement that hasn't seen daylight since Easter. I'm picturing balloon arch, donut wall, photo booth with neon script. Oh, and a signature cocktail. Everyone's doing those. What's our total projected revenue? I ask, because I speak event like a second language, and these are the verbs that keep people from crying later. Tickets at $50, Aunt Lila says. 100 adults? Easy. She looks at me like I should write that in ink. Plus the raffle. I type anyway, but I add a column called, If we get 100 and another called, If we get 65. Because the past has taught me about hopes accounting. I list the fixed costs I know we can't wish away. Venue rental $1,200, permits $150, sound equipment $250, food $2,700 for buffet if we don't get romantic about salmon. I write them down in tidy lines that feel like fences. We should get a live band, Roland says. He scrolls on his phone and lifts it like an offering. I know guys who can do it for $2,000, maybe 3 for 4 hours. DJ is $600, I say, and scroll to my vendor sheet. And comes with mic, uplights, playlist we control. Cheap, he says, and it lands like a pebble in a shoe. Small, irritating, designed to make you walk funny. I'm not cheap, I say, but only to myself, because the last time I said it out loud, my mother smiled in that way she has and said, You know how Casey is with money, which is her code for, we don't have to say thank you if we call it a personality flaw. Tony leans in and taps the screen. What about dessert? She asks. We should do a dessert table with towers. People love towers. There's a fine line between tower and landfill, I say. Sheet cakes are $1.25 a slice, and people actually eat them. The money we save there can go toward the kid area. Bubbles, lawn games, a face painter. Face painter? Roland laughs. What are we, 5? We invited people with families, I say. If kids are busy, parents dance. If parents dance, they stay. If they stay, we hit the raffle hard at 9. A dry cough from the corner. Mr. Alvarez, the deacon whose only role is to say lights out at 10 and to count chairs like souls. He nods at me. I take the nod like a benediction. By the end of the hour, we've assigned committees with fancy names that don't hide their chores. Food, Tony. Decorations. Marina, wait, not our Marina. This one is my cousin's friend, a woman with acrylic nails like tiny knives and a Pinterest board that could kill a budget just by loading. Music, Roland. Admissions, me and Hannah, who does payroll at a clinic and once balanced a cash box while teaching a toddler to share a truck. Venue, Aunt Lila. Communications, Everyone, which is code for no one until something goes wrong. I'll need a card, I say. And I want a 2-signature rule. Anything over $200 gets approval from me and one other person. No exceptions, no reimbursements without receipts. Oh, honey, Aunt Lila says, the vowels sweet as frosting. We're family. Exactly, I say, and meet her eyes. We'll do it right. We order 2 pizzas. I add the total to the spreadsheet and Venmo everyone for their share because I would rather eat the cardboard than have this be the first unpaid line. I snap a photo of the shoebox's contents, count twice, and deposit it in the reunion account I opened that morning with $100 from my own checking to get it started. The banker slid a pamphlet across the desk that said, Community/group account. Tips and troubleshooting. I read it with a highlighter like scripture. By 9:32 p.m., we've made 2 decisions and 12 aspirational statements. Tony sends me a text after we clean up crumbs and stack chairs. You're a rock. Thank you. It's the kind of sentence that makes you think you're safe. 2 days later, the first ticket sale hits the account. Then 5. Then 22. I update the spreadsheet with a little noise I make in my throat that no one else will hear. The one that sounds like a tiny engine. The notes column fills with names next to confirmation numbers. Small proof that people plan to show up. I color the cells green. I like the way the screen looks like a lawn. On Wednesday at 12:04 p.m., a charge pings the reunion card. $186.72 at Glow Up Studio. The memo says Trial Glam. I don't recognize the vendor from my list. I screenshot, text Aunt Lila. Hey, did someone authorize this? She replies at 12:17. Roland did. It's for the MC Presentation Matters, which is her code for the person holding the mic should glow. At 4:33 p.m., another charge. $79.99 at Neon Dreams. Memo. Deposit. Script sign. I had written banner paper $24.99 into the budget like a sane person. Roland slaps down neon with a font that looks like a nightclub said, "We used to be young." At 7:46 p.m., Sugar Waves. Deposit for $300. Tony texted earlier. Found a baker who does towers, with 4 heart eyes. I reply with a smiley and add it to the sheet even as my stomach tightens. At 9:12 p.m., a $480 charge at DJ Halo. I email Roland the vendor I'd vetted at $600. He replies, Halo is a friend. He'll cut us a deal later. Which is his code for, the invoice will be a surprise. Friday morning, I add a new tab. Unauthorized / to confirm. The cells sit yellow, bright as caution tape. A week later, seats fill. Money moves. My spreadsheet turns into an organism. The reunion group chat turns into a bonfire. Under the gifs and the remember when photos, I catch the thread. A tone about money I recognize from our kitchen table growing up, when my mother would say, "We're not those people," which was her code for wanting is tacky. On a Sunday afternoon, after a church service that ran too long for my patience, but exactly long enough for Aunt Lila's performance, we reconvene. I bring printed reports. I staple them. I distribute them like exams. "Look at Casey with the homework," Roland says, loud enough for Mr. Alvarez to lift an eyebrow that could cut. "I'm going to ask we stick to approvals," I say, but I stay light because the room is a living thing and it follows the voice that doesn't shake. We're trending good. If we rein in decor, we can upgrade the buffet. I got a quote for salmon we can afford if we swap the neon for paper. Paper? Roland chokes. We're not throwing a 5th grade carnival. Paper is recyclable, I say. Neon is a bill. Cheap, Tony says. Not mean, but not soft either. It's small, maybe unintentional, but it lands like someone said my middle name wrong to my face. I look at my report. The yellow column glows. the $186.72 at Glow Up, the $79.99 at Neon Dreams, the $300 at Sugar Waves. We can't spend what we don't have, I say, and we don't ask the people who paid $50 a ticket to fund your trial glam. The room tightens like a muscle. Why are you like this? Aunt Lila says, head tilted, voice sweet as a trap. It's a party. Loosen up. I am loose, I say. I just happen to like it when invoices match the budget. She's being cheap, Roland says. And now it's not a pebble. It's a rock through a windshield. Heads turn. The word bounces off walls. I take a breath so slow it feels like a sentence. I count in my head to 4 like the therapist taught me when you're about to either cry or kick. No, I say. I'm being responsible. Same thing, he mutters, and someone laughs. It's a small laugh. It is enough. We break early because the deacon needs the room. Chairs scrape. The sound makes my molars ache. Tony avoids my eye. She hugs me anyway. You're doing great, she says into my shoulder, which is her code for, I like that you're the floor I get to dance on. At 10:38 p.m., my inbox dings. Invoice, VIP lounge upgrade, it says from the venue. $750. There is no VIP lounge in my spreadsheet. Only a line for quiet room for kids to nap with a $0 because I brought yoga mats from home. I scroll the attached email thread. The manager replies cheerful as money. Per Roland's request, thanks for the card on file. I stare at the screen until my eyes cross. Then I open a new document and title it Ledger Projection. Because if people won't hear a number when you say it, you put it 6 feet tall on a wall. The glow of my laptop turns my small kitchen into the cockpit of a plane. My neighbors are asleep. My street makes the soft hiss of cars turning into single lines of light. I pour tea I won't drink, and I print a report I will. Income, 78 tickets sold, $3,900, 12 donations, $620. Sponsor, Ace Hardware, $250 gift card. Expenses, venue deposit $600, catering deposit $1,500, DJ retainer $200, supplies $118.72, cups, plates, napkins from Smart Mart. I circle the line item. In green like a tiny applause for myself. Unauthorized to confirm, $186.72. Glow Up, $79.99. Neon Dreams, $300 Sugar Waves, $480 DJ Halo, $750 VIP Lounge. Total yellow, $1,797.71. I build the slides one by one, black text on white, no distractions. Each slide has 3 elements, timestamp, vendor, memo/purpose, plus the line of our policy in smaller font at the bottom. All expenses greater than $200 require 2 signatures. I include screenshots where it matters. I include the text where Roland says, chill, we'll get donations. I include the bank's fraud alert email when someone tried to link a second phone to the card and failed. I do not include commentary. Numbers make their own noise. By 2:32 a.m., my printer coughs up a stack an inch thick. I slide each page into a sheet protector because I want to hear plastic squeak when someone tries to pull the truth apart. I build a binder like a scaffold. The tabs stick out like little flags. Income, authorized expenses, unauthorized to confirm, policy, approvals, vendor emails, bank notices. I make 2 copies, one for my hand, one for the table. At 3:08 a.m., I text my friend Priya because she's awake when other people aren't. She works overnight at the hospital and collects stories like stones. I need a projector, I write, and a witness. You can have mine, she replies at 3:10. and me. At 9:06 a.m., I call the bank again because doing it twice makes it real. Put a note, I say to the patient woman who's probably balancing her own life between a son who needs lunch and a boss who needs data. No cash withdrawals. Card only. Alert me for any charge over $50. She reads it back. I add the alert emails to the binder. Evidence makes a different kind of friend. At lunch, I meet with Mr. Chen, the community center manager we switched to when the church said the basement couldn't handle the band we didn't book. He's a former math teacher with a scar through one eyebrow that makes him look perpetually amused. I want to use your north wall for a projection for 15 minutes before the raffle, I say. I'll bring my own projector. I'm showing a slideshow. Baby pictures? He asks, mouth twitching. Numbers, I say. He nods like that makes him feel safe. We'll run an extension cord, he says. And I'll have Darnell from security stand by the outlet so no one does anything creative. On Thursday at 5:41 p.m., the group chat lights up because Roland sent a mock-up of the neon script. Back where we belong, in a cursive that looks like a lie. People send fire emojis. Tony posts a boomerang of tower cupcakes from a tasting. Worth it, she writes. Underneath, someone I don't know well says, Casey, don't be cheap. The chorus. The word grows teeth. It wants to bite. I respond with a link to a Google Doc. Budget status. Live. The first tab, green, authorized. The second, yellow, up for discussion. The third, red, no. I share it with viewing rights because I am learning to invite transparency, like I wish someone had invited me when I was little and asking whether we could afford field trip money. Roland sends a laughing emoji. Wow, charts, he writes. Maybe we can project them on the wall for the grandparents. He doesn't know he just gave me the title. That night, I sit with Priya on my floor, cables coiled between us like snakes we've defanged. She shows me how to turn a beige wall into a sheet of light. The trick, she says, is to make the image so big they can't pretend it isn't there. She tells me about patients who ignore numbers until numbers put them in a room with a ventilator. People call reality rude, she says. You're doing them a favor. What if they turn it on me? I ask, hands flat on the rug so I don't ring them. What if I become the villain because I said the quiet part into a microphone? You will, she says, not unkind. And those aren't your people. Your people are the ones who hear the words, 2 signatures, and say, that's fair. I sleep 4 hours. I wake up before my alarm, already inside the meeting I haven't had. On Friday at noon, the bank pings another charge. $229.84 at PartyFlex. Memo. Confetti cannons. I add it to yellow and then I don't. I put it straight in red. Then I text Roland. Declined. Policy. He replies with a screenshot from a meme. A cartoon character rolling eyes so hard it hurts. Cheap, he writes. You'll ruin this. I plug the projector into the wall and watch a square of light settle like a stage. I make one last slide. Every dollar is a vote. Underneath, we respect the people who gave. The community center gym smells like wood varnish and old teams. Someone hung streamers across the basketball hoop. The puppet theater from the daycare sleeps in the corner like a small animal. Mr. Chen waves me toward the north wall, and Darnell from security nods at the outlet like an altar guard. I breathe easier. I set the projector on a stack of milk crates and check the focus. My slides blink into place. The white paint becomes a ledger you can walk into. Casey! Tony rushes me, cheeks high with adrenaline, acrylics flashing. It looks so good, she says, and I look around and admit it does. Long tables with white cloths and mason jars full of sunflowers. Name tags laid out in alphabetized rows. A poster board with old photos of our school. Arms around shoulders, braces, jerseys, blurring time like Vaseline. You did this, I say, because she did. She glows. I love her. I do. Roland strides up like a storm in a suit. He's wearing the MC headset like a crown. His hair is officially crisp. We're starting with the slideshow, he announces, and I watch his eyes flick past my projector without seeing it. He raises the mic and feeds himself his own voice. Welcome back, everybody! He booms as bodies trickle in. Laughter and oh my gods. Air kisses. People slap backs. Someone's kid drags a balloon nearly as big as his torso. 2 minutes, I say to Mr. Chen. He nods like a kata. When the room is noisy enough to hide friction, I step to the mic. Quick housekeeping before we start, I say, smiling with teeth and no apology. I'm Casey, treasurer. 2 things. Bathrooms down the hall to the left, and we're going to do a 2-minute budget transparency so you know exactly what your ticket paid for. Every dollar is a vote. Roland laughs into his mic. Too close. Feedback whining like a protest. Boring, he says, half joke, half warning. We'll do it later. We'll do it now, I say and click. The first slide fills the wall. A simple bar. Income versus expenses. With $4,770 on one side and $4,168 on the other. People clap because the bars look like good news. I keep my voice even and low. We projected 100 people, I say. We got 85. We adjusted accordingly. Here's where your money went. Slide. Authorized expenses in green. Venue rental, caterer, insurance, DJ. Note, DJ Halo not used. Vendor switched to approved DJ per policy. His retainer refunded. I move fast, not to hide, but because we are not lingering on the fact that things can be done right. We saved money by using the community center instead of the Marriott, and by asking Aunt Grace to do the flowers. Look how good these are, I point. People turn. Aunt Grace beams, cheeks pink as roses. Slide. Yellow. Items brought to committee but not approved by 2 signatures, I say. Look, this is where vision met reality and we did our best to honor the event and the budget. The $300 Sugar Waves deposit. Tony looks at me, contrite and beautiful. I nod to her to show this is not shame, this is water. Tony adjusted with sheet cakes and they're gorgeous. You'll eat them, laughter. Slide. Red. I take a breath that tastes like metal. Items purchased outside policy with the reunion card. The room's temperature drops 1 degree. People lean in. The words, Glow Up Studio, Trial Glam, $186.72, blink on the white wall. Neon Dreams, deposit, $79.99, VIP Lounge, upgrade, $750, Party Flex, confetti cannons, declined. Murmurs through the crowd like wind through a field. I keep my voice as soft as a hospital. We're not here to shame. We're here to correct. Those funds will be reimbursed to the account as of Monday 5 p.m., per policy, so we can cover the caterer balance. I point to the line on the policy slide. 2 signatures. Roland strides into the projector beam, shadow cutting my numbers in half. This is tacky, he says, eyes scanning the crowd for allies. We don't air laundry. Laundry is the stuff you clean, I say. Theft is the stuff you return. Gasps. Someone whistles, low. Darnell shifts his weight. The floor notices. Aunt Lila steps forward, smile anchored and bright as a false window. Casey, she coos. We discussed. We didn't, I say, and the word feels like medicine. Aunt Lila, you told me to loosen up, while the venue charged $750 to the card. That's not loosen. That's loose. From the back, mister. Alvarez clears his throat. 2 signatures, he says into the room without a mic. and somehow it carries. That was the rule. His voice is steady as a ledger line. He looks at Roland the way you look at teenagers who misplace your trust in exactly the way you expected. You sign something, you live with it. Roland grabs the HDMI cable like it insulted his mother. Enough, he says. The screen blanks. The room inhales. Darnell steps in like a door closing. Unplug that and I unplug you, he says, not loud, just true. Hey, Priya says from beside the projector, a new body to them, a friend with sharp eyes to me. She holds up her phone. Also, we printed all of this, so if anyone wants a copy... The stack in her arms is thick. Papers slip like cards in a magic trick. Hands reach. Tony steps into the spill of light. We do this right, she says, voice soft but aimed. Casey's right. We reimburse. We apologize. We eat cake. Laughter, the good kind. It breaks the ice without cracking the floor. I breathe. Anyone who doesn't want confetti in their hair? Clap. Priya deadpans. The room claps. Roland drops the HDMI and steps back like he stepped into weather he didn't check. He lifts the mic, tries again. We're family, he says. Why are you punishing success? Success is paying the caterer, someone's uncle shouts. I'm not eating air. You can't talk to me like that, Roland snaps. A voice from the side, Mr. Chen, eyebrows calm as a lake. Actually, he says, we can. He puts a hand on my elbow. You done with the wall? Almost, I say. I plug the HDMI back in with a click that feels like closure. The slide returns. We have $602.29 unassigned, I say. We can either upgrade the buffet to include a salmon tray or lower the ticket price for at the door to compensate for the neon sign everyone thinks they want. Show of hands for salmon hands rise like corn. I nod. Salmon it is. We voted, Mr. Alvarez says. Democracy. Revolutionary. I end the slide deck with a photo of the spreadsheet's clean copy printed and taped to the volunteer board. If you have questions, I'll be over there with the binder. You can see everything. Every dollar is a vote. I walk off stage, shaking so hard my teeth click. Priya puts a cup of water in my hand like she's done it 1,000 times in other rooms where someone told a scary truth. You did it clean, she says. Tony wraps me in a hug that smells like frosting and hairspray. I'm sorry, she whispers. I shouldn't have called you cheap. It's the family word, I say into her shoulder. It's how we keep the floor from being the ceiling. People line up. People who silently dreaded that their money would vanish into a neon script that said nothing. People who put $20 in the donation jar because they just watched numbers behave and wanted to reward it. People who ask in low voices how to do budgets for their block party, their church, their life. I write down links. I lend the binder like a library book and make a sign-out sheet just to feel like a person. Aunt Lila approaches like a television anchor switching to a serious segment. You embarrassed us, she says. I prevented the caterer from calling the police, I say. So, you're welcome. You're so dramatic, she says, and the old me would bend to fit that word. The current me stands up. I like not being in debt, I say. It makes the room prettier. She blinks. She does not have a comeback for financial aesthetics. At 9, I run the raffle, and my hands don't shake. We give away baskets of things people actually use because I built them at the grocery store instead of gift catalog Fantasyland. The Ace Hardware gift card goes to a woman whose laugh I recognize from sophomore year. She cries and says, I can finally fix the porch light. The room sighs in unison. It sounds like relief. At 10, the lights go up because the community center says so. We stack chairs. We collect mason jars with sunflowers left behind. I settle with the caterer in a back office that smells like hand soap and victory. When the total hits the exact number in my spreadsheet, I feel a click in my chest like a gear found its tooth. The caterer counts twice, nods. I wish more people did it like this, she says. The fancier the event, the messier the math. On the way out, Roland meets me by the fire exit, away from Mr. Chen's eyebrows and Darnell's gravity. He looks smaller without the headset. You made me look bad, he says, not angry, just tired. You did that, I say, not cruel. You can look good. Start Monday. What if I can't pay by Monday? His eyes are wet around the edges. He's a man who never learned how to ask for help without bartering humiliation. We'll set a plan, I say, but the VIP lounge goes. And you apologize on the group chat, I wait. He nods. I'm sorry, he says, like the words need oil. He swallows. You're not cheap. I know, I say, and the knowing is new. The white sheet I bought for movies hangs against my living room wall like a patient flag. On Sunday nights, we project films onto it, old home videos with camcorder shake, anti-favorites with dramatic whispers, a documentary about a woman who started a mobile grocery in a food desert because she got tired of people calling hunger a budgeting problem. People sit on the floor with their knees up and plates balanced on the slope of their thighs. Someone always brings brownies. It's not a fancy life. It's the kind that lets you breathe. The envelope on my coffee table is heavy with bills that belong to this week's version of my life. Rent, internet, subscriptions I actually use, the donation to the literacy program I put on autopay, because I want my money to do chores while I do mine. I open each one with a butter knife. I put them in the binder called House. The tabs click like punctuation. The sound makes me feel like someone else's adult, but in the good way. In June, Tony asks me to look at the budget for her yard wedding. Small, she says. 10 tables under strings of lights and a playlist. She doesn't put neon in the column, even as a joke. I bring over the projector and we hang a white sheet between two trees. Her fiancé, Drew, checks the knots. You always make it feel like a plan, he says. I shrug because it's the best kind of compliment, and I don't know where to put it. In August, Aunt Lila texts, "We're doing the picnic." You in? I reply. Who's treasurer? She sends a photo of a young cousin I barely know brandishing a calculator. She's in accounting. 2 signatures. The caption says, I send a thumbs up and a link to the template. Then I move my phone to Do Not Disturb and go back to sewing the seam on a dress I rescued from a thrift store and made mine with a hem that doesn't apologize. I hum under my breath. It sounds like a line clicking into place. In September, Roland sends me a photo. Him at a community college at a desk with a notebook. Accounting 101, the text says. This is actually not terrible. He sends me a screenshot of a cash flow exercise with his handwriting, not terrible either. I send him back a picture of my living room wall with the white sheet and the words, "We can do hard numbers," written in dry erase marker. He replies with the laughing face and the bicep. It's his code for, I hear you. At Thanksgiving, my mother, who lives in another state, and another series of stories where I am always overreacting, calls to ask whether I'll come to the extended family potluck. I ask who's handling the money for the hall rental. She sighs. You always make things so complicated, she says, which is her code for, we should be able to want without counting. I'm busy that day, I say, because I am. I'm hosting a movie night for people who like seeing numbers line up as much as ears of corn on a table. We will watch a film where a woman who runs a community fridge says, mutual aid is just people being decent. I will pause the film to cry and not have to explain it. A week after that, I get a message from a number I don't know. Hi, this is Madison. My block association found your budget template through the reunion group. We used it. Our event actually balanced. Could you come to a meeting and show us how to do the thing where you projected the ledger on the wall? The words make me laugh out loud because I didn't make that up after all. It's a thing now. Yes, I write. I go. I stand up in a school gym with a white wall that looks like a polite shoulder, and I show people the slide that says every dollar is a vote. I talk about 2 signatures and consent in finance. I talk about the beautiful, boring clack of tabs when you open a binder and see your life in lines, not mystery. After, a man in a cap stands in the back and waits until my hands are free. He says, "I've been called cheap my whole life." He says, "No one says thank you to the person who says we can't afford it." He says, "I thought I was broken." His voice shakes. I hand him a copy of the template and the line I borrowed from Priya and changed to fit. Budgeting is love for the future you. He nods. He breathes. He puts the paper in a folder like it's a baby. On a Wednesday night in January, an envelope arrives at my door with a handwritten return address I don't recognize. Inside, a check made out to the reunion account for $750, and a note in Roland's blocky handwriting. VIP Lounge. I figured it out. I make a copy. I file it. I take a photo and send it to Mr. Chen because he let me use his wall like a witness. He sends back a thumbs up, and a math wins. At the spring picnic, we sit on borrowed blankets and eat food that came out of real kitchens, not catalogs. A kid blows bubbles so big they swallow faces and make us all look like amusement park caricatures. The donation jar by the potato salad fills with 5s and 10s and 1 crisp 20. The treasurer, my baby cousin with the neat hair and the fierceness you can't see at first, counts the money twice and announces over a megaphone with feedback that we beat the goal by $86.50. People cheer like the home team won a real thing. I clap until my palms sting. When the sun starts to go and the string lights blink, someone rolls out a portable screen because it got too windy for the sheet. People groan and then sit anyway because change isn't tragedy if the content is the same. I help carry chairs. I bring the projector. I show a 15-minute slide deck between the photos of then and now. Income versus expenses. Authorized versus unauthorized. None. Policy. Receipts. People clap between slides, which feels embarrassing and perfect. We end with a photo of last year's reunion and a white wall with numbers on it. I look at it and feel the way I did when I was 9, and lined up my crayons because the color made a kind of sense the day didn't. Lila stands near the lemonade jug, arms crossed, face tilted like a question she didn't want to ask. She catches my eye. She uncrosses her arms. She nods once. It's small. It's something. I nod back. I don't walk over. Boundaries are the grown-up version of weather you can predict. At home, late, I hang the white sheet back on its hooks and run my finger along the fold where the hem meets the edge. The projector sleeps on the bookcase, lens facing the wall like an eye that learned to rest. My binder lives on the lowest shelf where I can pull it without standing on a chair. The envelope on the coffee table waits for Friday, when I sit with tea and uncap my pen and write the date on the top of the check register because old habits feel like assistance now, not apology. I still get the occasional message, "We should go big this year," from someone whose last Venmo request says, "Pay you next week." I write back, "What's big is paying people on time." I use a smiley face. I am learning that firmness with a smile is a power. I don't have to be mean to be immovable. Sometimes, at the end of a long day that smelled like printers and coffee and people, I project my spreadsheet on the wall just to watch the columns click. The green cells look like a field in summer. The yellow column, sparsely populated, looks like a warning sign nobody needs to ignore. The red column, mostly empty, feels like a story where everyone learned the same small lesson and wrote it on a card. You sign your name, and then you keep your word. The last slide in my deck is a list I keep for me, the same one I wrote the night I finally slept after the reunion. Things that belong. Under it, I keep adding lines. My time, my voice, my name, my yes, my number. My work, my rest, my money, my quiet, my joy, my math, my wall. I shut the projector off and the room returns to itself. The white sheet hangs there, calm. The apartment hums like a thing you pay for. The future sits in the envelope like a pet that knows it's safe. Sometimes I think about the word they tried to hand me like a coat that never fit. Cheap. I hold it up now, and I can see through it. It's thin. It tears under its own weight. It was always their code for, we want without counting. I fold the word into a paper airplane and aim it at the trash. But before it lands, I watch it fly, and I laugh, and I let it. Then I pick up my binder, and I live.